Hello, everyone. Good evening. How are you guys? Hope everyone is good. Am I visible and audible to everyone?
Hey guys, good evening.
Okay, then. Fine. So I hope everyone remembers where we ended yesterday. Yesterday basically we completed the concepts. We learned what was JavaScript and where it is used and how to use it, right? So from today till the last session, we are going to be doing a lot of code, a lot of coding actually, right? So are we excited to start, everyone? Should we start then? So basically, like I have some plans in my mind. So today we are going to at least try to complete the programming fundamentals of JavaScript. So basically, I'm trying to reach to the DOM manipulation part as soon as possible, because that is where the main game is. That is where you're going to learn what exactly JavaScript can do. What are the powers of JavaScript, right? So first things first, today I'm going to try to complete the basic programming fundamentals of JavaScript. So maybe a lot of people from you might be knowing it, and so if you know it, just watch it, enjoy it. If you don't know it, please watch carefully, try to understand everything. Then, because this the thing that we're learning today, the programming fundamentals, is going to be very very important when we are actually learning DOM manipulation, because we are going to be mixing the DOM manipulation code and the programming to like get the greater effect and to get the greater results of JavaScript, right? So then let's start. So yesterday, if you remember, we just created a very basic HTML page, right? So today we're going to enhance it. We're going to create the things that JavaScript needs. So now we know that JavaScript is a client-side scripting language, and we also know why it is called that. Now we also know JavaScript is a DOM manipulation language, and we also know why it is called that, right? So today we are going to be starting with it, right? So now to start writing JavaScript code in client side. Now see, whenever I'm saying JavaScript, I'm also specifying client side, because now JavaScript is not only client side, it also helps you to work with server side, right? So JavaScript is not only client side from now, like from the last 10 years. So now when you want to write JavaScript in client side, you always need a HTML file, because when you say that you want to write JavaScript in client side or to run JavaScript in client side, you need a browser for that. And browser firstly understands only HTML pages. That's why whenever you like, even if you want to write JavaScript, you first need to create an HTML page. So remember this thing: whenever you want to write JavaScript on client side, you need a HTML page, right? That can run on a browser, and basically your JavaScript file is linked to that HTML page. So, and that's how the browser can understand that you have JavaScript and you want to run JavaScript. So first of all, if you want to run JavaScript on a browser, you need a HTML page, and then you can start writing your JavaScript either directly in the HTML page or by creating some like other file that is completely dedicated to JavaScript and link it with your HTML page and then run it. So this is the process. So let's start, right? So before moving on to like writing JavaScript in a completely different file, let's start with learning how can we write JavaScript code in the HTML file itself, right? So let's first do one thing. Let's run this file. So yesterday I showed you one way of running the JavaScript file. That was something you can go in your folder. So our folder is here, maybe on desktop, right? So let's go on desktop. So here's our
Sir,
folder.
excuse me.
Yes, yes.
Sir, they are not able to see your like font, sir. Can you increase the font
Yes, yeah,
size,
I'll
please?
increase. When I start writing the code, I'll definitely increase it. Not a problem at all. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Don't worry, guys. I'll increase the font. Yeah. Fine. So yesterday I showed you one way of running your files. There's something that you can go in your folder, right click on your file and just do open with your favorite browser. Now there's one thing again you can do. There's some other thing that you can do to run your page, to run your file is inside VS Code only, select your file that you want to run, right click on it and copy the path. Like this is my favorite method. Copy the path. So remember, right click, copy the path, right? And I hope now you can see my font size, right? I hope now you can see my font size. So once you have copied the path by right clicking on the file, you can go in any browser and just paste the path in the URL bar, and that's fine. It will run. So that's how you can run your files, right? Okay, so I've also opened the DOM tree where you can see all the elements. So I'll just keep it open for now. Now, as I said that now there are two ways to start writing JavaScript on client side, right? One, you can directly write JavaScript in your HTML page. Other, you can create a separate file and write JavaScript there. And then you have to link it with your HTML page because browser on the first hand runs only the HTML page, right? So you need that support to run your JavaScript. So let's start and let's see actually how to write JavaScript or how to start writing JavaScript code in your HTML page. Okay then. So if you want to write JavaScript code in HTML page, what you have to do is you go inside your body tag, right? You have to go inside your, okay, let's do one thing. Let's remove this HTML from here. We don't need it. Let's just keep an H1 and just write, okay, this is a Java script demo. Let's just keep this thing. That's fine. Okay. Now, if you want to write JavaScript in your HTML page, that kind of JavaScript is known as internal JavaScript because you're writing it in the HTML page. And to start doing that, go inside your body tag, and then at the end, let's say you have all your HTML above this, right? So you can say all the HTML. It can be 1,000 lines, it can be 2,000 lines, it can be 5,000 lines. Anything will do, right? So all the HTML, okay. At the end, you have to add a script tag. At the end, you just have to add a script tag, right? And now by writing this tag, you specify that in between this tag, I'm going to write JavaScript. Now, this is start of the script and this is end of the script, right? So this is a script tag. And now between this script tag, you can only write JavaScript. So this is where you start writing JavaScript. Are we cleared, everyone? So this is the place where you'll write your JavaScript, and always try to write the script tag and your JavaScript at the end of the body, right? You might like maybe you have seen something like this. A lot of people, what they do is they write their script in the head, right? A lot of people, what they do, they write their script in the head. Now, again, this is not wrong, but this is not the standard. This is something that you don't have to do. I'll also tell you the reason why you should not write your JavaScript in the head tag, right? I'll tell you after some time. Don't worry about it. But you should always write your JavaScript at the end, at the near end of your body tag, right? So this is the place where you can start writing JavaScript. Now, basically, we're learning a new language, right? And whenever you start learning a new language like C or C++ or like, yes, Pardu, you can also write it outside your body tag. It's totally fine, but it's not the standard. It's something that you should follow, right? It's the W3C standard to write your script tag inside the body at the end of your HTML. That is like what people prefer, what a lot of developers prefer, right? Yes, we can do the separate file, but I want to show you both. So don't worry, I'll show you both. I'll also show you how to write JavaScript in a separate file. Don't worry about it. Now, again, we are basically learning a new language. And whenever you try to learn or start to learn a new language, the first thing that you learn is how to print something, right? How to print something. Now, when you work with browser, now see, we are working with HTML and JavaScript, and the output window that we have here is a browser. Like when you work with C, you have a console, you have a command prompt where you can see your output. So in this case, we have HTML and JavaScript, and the output window is the browser, right? This is the output window, the browser. But now you have to understand all the DOM manipulation thing, all the HTML thing, all the CSS thing, you will see in here, in the browser, in the white space. This is where you have to, like, you can see your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript DOM manipulation output, whatever JavaScript is doing with DOM. But there is one more place where you can also see the JavaScript output, right? And that is this, the browser console. To open this, it's very easy. Right click on your browser page, inspect, and you have this elements, and you also have this console. It is available in all the browsers. So what I said, browser is basically your output window. So all the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript DOM manipulation you'll be able to see in the browser page, but you can also see the JavaScript output in the console, right? So for start, we're going to use console, and after that, when we start making the projects, we'll definitely move to the browser page. But now let's try to understand what is console. You can say that console is nothing but the command prompt of the browser. Just like you have a command prompt in your Windows machine, just like you have a terminal in your Linux, You can say that console is nothing but a command prompt of your browser, and the language of the console is nothing but JavaScript, right? Each and every command prompt has a language, has a unique way of, like, you have a set of commands that you write on the console. Like when you go on Windows, you do cd, you do mkdir. When you go on Linux, you do apt get install. So you do a lot of things, right, in command prompts. So basically, each and every command prompt has a set of commands that you can write in that, right? So in a browser console, the language that you write the commands in is JavaScript. So here you can write all your JavaScript if needed. But right now we're not doing that. I'm just telling you. So this is place where you can see your JavaScript output, and this is one place where you can also write JavaScript. So console is nothing but the command prompt of your browser. And for start, we're going to see all our output here only in the console. But when we actually start working with elements, we're going to see our output on the browser. But right now we are not doing that. We are only going to work with console here. Okay. Okay, then let's start. So now let's try to understand the first thing. So to print something on the console, there is an inbuilt object available in JavaScript that is named console, right? So console is an inbuilt object that is available in JavaScript, right? And that object has a function named log. And then inside log, you can write anything that you want to print in a string format. Like it can be any format, but for now, let's say I'm writing in a string format. So whenever you write a string in a language, you always tend to use double quotes. So here also, whenever you want to write a string, you have to use double quotes. So console is a pre-built or inbuilt object available in JavaScript, and log is the function of that object that I'm calling using the dot notation. So you just don't worry about all this. When we actually try to learn objects, I'll explain what is this, what does an object mean, what does a dot notation mean. Just for now, just try to understand, okay, this is something that is there. Just like printf in C, just like system.out.println in Java, right? So we just try to remember them. We don't know what they actually specify, right? So just understand, console is an object and log is a function, and that's all, right? And then you can just say, okay, hello JavaScript, and then a semicolon. Now, one more thing, semicolon is not a mandatory thing in JavaScript. Semicolon is not a mandatory thing in JavaScript. Even if you don't write, it will totally work. It's a good practice to write semicolon at the end of your line, right? So like other languages, you don't have to like put it. It's not mandatory to put your semicolon. It will not give you any error if you don't put it. It's just a good standard, right? Yes, you can also put single quotes here. It's fine. You can also put single quotes. It's just we follow a standard where we put double quotes for string and single quotes for characters, so that it's easier for us to understand where there is a character and where there is a string, right? That's why we always try to put double quotes in strings. So now we have done a console.log JavaScript. Now remember, whatever code you write in script tag, that will be executed on the go. Whenever the page loads, that will be executed. So just try to understand like that. If this HTML page loads, this JavaScript code will be executed directly, right? Just understand this. Okay, let's save it. Whatever changes you make, always save it. And in VS Code, the shortcut is Control S. I think everywhere in Notepad++, in Atom, in Sublime Text, everywhere it's Control S. So Control S will save it for you. Just go on and refresh your page. Just to see the change in the output, you just have to refresh the page. That's all. So refresh, and here you go. Hello JavaScript. So now you know how to print something on the console using JavaScript, and this is how you do it, right? Okay, is it clear, everyone? Are we clear with this? So this is how you print, and that's actually very simple, right? It's just like printf or system.out.println, or what do you say? You have cout. So you have a lot of things, right? Okay, so are we cleared? Are we cleared, everyone? And remember, wherever you say this thing, these are called parentheses, right? Or you can also call them round brackets, or mainly they are named as parentheses. Wherever there is parentheses, that thing is a function, right? If I say ABC and it has a parenthesis, that is a function. And that's how you can tell that log is a function. Like we know log is a function, but still, if you want to tell it by looking at it, you can see that parenthesis. So that log is a function. So whenever you see parenthesis or the rounded brackets with any word, that thing is a function for sure. Remember this, like these brackets define a lot of about themselves, right? So wherever you see rounded brackets or parenthesis, that thing is a function for sure. Okay, so are we cleared? Now let's move ahead. So now we know how to print, right? The next thing that we want to learn here is, the next thing that we learn in any programming language is something called as a variable. Like that is a very, very important concept, right? Variable is a very, very important concept. Now, what is a variable? And before that, I'll just show you how to comment in VS Code. Now this, I have wrote variable here. This will be also executed as a code, but I don't want this to be executed as a code, right? So what I'll do is I can comment it so that the compiler or the interpreter does not recognize this as a code and ignores it while executing, so that I can keep it in my code, but still it will not get executed. That thing is known as a comment. And to do that in VS Code, you just go on that line and press Control slash, and that's all. It will be commented. Is it clear? Are we clear with this? Right? And if we again want to activate that thing, you can just press Control slash again and it will be uncommented. So comment, uncomment, Control slash. Never forget that, because that is something that we're going to use it again and again, again and again, right? So you can just keep it to hide your code or hide some documentation lines, write something about the code, right? So you want to write some quotes about the code, you can do all that thing. So that is known as commenting. Okay. So now JS is case sensitive. Hassan, JS is case sensitive, right? All the things that are inside JS are case sensitive. You have to write them in the way they are built. So yes, it is case sensitive, right? Okay. Now let's move ahead. Okay. So now
Sir,
what is the
uh,
way? Yes.
before moving ahead, there are a few questions, sir.
Yes, yes,
Can I
please
ask?
ask.
Like, there is a question like, can we write script tag outside the body tag?
Yes, yes, yes. We can write it. Yes, we can, and it will definitely work. It's just that's not the standard that people follow, right? So we always follow to write it at the end of the body tag. That's all.
There is one more question, sir, and that is like, why we call console an object and log a function?
Because it is an object. Console is an object. Now as I said that I'll explain you what exactly an object is and why, what exactly a function is. Don't worry about that. That is like maybe after 1 or 2 lectures, or maybe tomorrow we'll learn about objects and functions, so you don't have to worry about it. It's just right now, just understand, okay, console is an object and log is a function, but you will understand what exactly is an object and what exactly is a function when we actually learn that thing, because we're going to learn how to create our own objects and how to create our own functions. So don't worry about that, guys. We're going to learn in maybe today's session or tomorrow's session what exactly is an object. Right now, just understand, okay, it is a pre-built or inbuilt object, right? So just try to understand that for now. You'll definitely know what exactly is an object and what exactly is a function tomorrow, for sure. So don't worry about it. Okay. Okay. Now let's move ahead. So now let's try to understand what exactly a variable is. Now variable is nothing but a temporary memory location, right? So in your PC, you have memory blocks, right? In your computer, you have memory blocks. And whenever the computer wants to process some data, it stores the data in your PC, in the memory, right? So a variable in programming is nothing but a temporary memory location. That's all. So basically, in programs, you create a variable because you want to store some data. You create a variable because you want to store some data that you want to use in a program. That's all. So just like to process some calculation or to process something, the human mind needs data, right? Exactly in the same way, to process some information, to process some calculations, the computer also needs data. And exactly in the same case, you write some program. In programs, sometimes there is some kind of calculation, there is some kind of data that is needed to be stored, either permanently or temporarily. So in that case, variables can be used, right? So variable is nothing but a temporary memory location, right? So like, let's say whenever you create a variable in a program, that program goes on internally and registers a memory block for it. Okay, now something like this happens. So let's say you go on, okay, fine, you say, okay, I want to create a variable named name. Let's not say like this is a variable, just try to understand that this is a variable. Let's just think that this is a variable. So I say this program to create a variable called name. Now when I run this program will internally go in my PC's memory and create or register a block that will say, okay, fine, now I register this block and I want to store some data here. Now if you go on and let's say you store some data, like, okay, I store Saurabh in this. Internally, what is happening? A memory block is registered for this name, and inside that, this Saurabh is stored. It can also be something like this: A. If I say A, so basically another memory block is registered internally. It is fixed now. Okay, fine. This block is for A, and now I can store 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. So basically in that block I'm storing 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, like any data. So now you just have to understand, variable is the location. The location that is registered for this name or A is called a variable, and this thing here, name, is the identifier for that variable, is something that I use to access that location. Okay, so that is what it is. That is what it is. Name is basically identifier that is helping you to access a variable. So whenever you write an identifier in a program, internally for that identifier, a location is registered, a temporary location that will be cleared once the program ends. Once you close the program, that memory blocks will be cleared and used by something else, right? So whenever you create an identifier in your program, a corresponding memory location is registered for it, and that memory location is known as a variable. And this here, when what I'm writing is an identifier, is an identifier that you use, because you cannot directly go and access, right? You cannot directly go and see the memory. So this is what you use to access that memory, right? So that is what it is. Are we clear with this, guys? Are we clear with this? So this is what a variable is. So remember, a lot of times people directly call this a variable, like, okay, name is a variable, A is a variable. That is just how commonly it is called. But you just have to remember that this name is not a variable, it's an identifier, and the block that is registered for this name internally in the memory is called as a variable, right? So are we cleared? Are we cleared with this? But in common, we'll also call this name and A a variable, just to understand, but internally you have to know that this is an identifier. Okay, so it something like this happens. Now, how to create a variable? Now, there is a particular syntax. How will you create a variable? Now again, one more new term. What is a syntax? Syntax is a method or a formula or a way to write something, right? Syntax is a method or a formula or a way to write something, right? So that is a syntax. So now, if you want to create a variable, how you create a variable in JavaScript, let's see. First thing you write is a data type, space, your identifier name, and then equals to, if you have any value. So like, this is something that I'm showing you. This is not the actual variable creation. This is how you create a variable. So here, this thing is known as a syntax. This thing is known as a syntax. Let's comment it, because this is not the actual thing. But this is how you're going to create a variable. So this is a syntax. Now, again, we have one more thing. Data type. What is a data type? So data type is the type of data type, basically is something that defines what kind of data you're going to store in that variable. What kind of data you're going to store in that variable, right? So if you want to store a numeric data in that variable, you specify, okay, fine, something like this. Actually, I'll actually show you a demo first. Let's say you do something like this: int a equals 1. That basically means this A is an identifier for a variable. So let's say this A is a variable. So A is a variable which is having a type int. So now by that, I say that A is only going to store integers, numbers. It is never going to store strings or floats or like any kind of data. It is always going to store numbers. So that's what a data type is. Data type specifies what kind of data you can store in a variable. That's all. That's what a data type does, and it's in every language. It's also available in C, in C++, in Java, in C sharp, everywhere, right? So data type basically specifies what kind of data you're going to store in a particular variable, right? And value is the actual data. Value is nothing but the actual data, right? So you can compare to the syntax. This int is the data type, this A is the identifier, or you can also call it a variable now, and this one is a value, the actual value, the data that you're going to use. Okay, Viresh, I am not sure that I can cover everything, but I'll try to cover the best possible things that will help you. Okay, so this is what it is. But now you have to know that int is not a type in JavaScript. In JavaScript, int is not a type. In JavaScript, mainly you have a type named var, and then you can do something like this. Let's say var name, and I store a string value in it. Now I want answers. What exactly is var? Can anyone answer me? Let's see who like how many people can give the right answers. Now see, var is a type. Here var is the data type, name is the variable, and Saurabh is the value. So what is var? Guys, anyone? That was error, Ravinder. That red color, because int is not, that was just for explanation. Int is not an actual type in JavaScript. Int is not available in JavaScript. That was just a demo that I was giving. Okay, someone is saying keyword. A lot of people are saying variable, string, variable, declaration. Var is a placeholder, string, variable, keyword. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Now see, var, the full, first of all, the full form. The full form for var is variant. It's not variable. It's variant. Var means variant. So the type of the name variable is variant. Now, when I say variant, that basically means the type of the name variable changes depending on the data. That means the type of the name variable is not fixed. If I pass Saurabh, the name variable is will store string. If I go and pass 23, the name variable can store number. If I go and pass 67, the name variable can again store number. In future, if I pass character, the name variable can also store character. So var means variant. That basically says name is a variant type. That basically means the type of that variable changes depending on the data that I'm storing in it. This is not possible in every language. Each and in, like in C language, you have to specify something like this, integer. Now you cannot store string in that. You just have to store number because you have specified int. But in JavaScript, you have var, and var says that name or whatever variable you're creating is a variant, right? That means you can store any kind of data in name, right? So in JavaScript, we don't have integer, float, something like that. Like for conversions we have, but for types we don't have something like that. But yes, we have now in the new version ES6, we have it now, and we're going to learn it afterwards. So don't worry. But for basic needs, you just have to understand that JavaScript is not a strictly typed language. Like C is a strictly typed language. It says that you have to specify a type and you have to follow the type. In JavaScript, either you can specify the type, or if you want, you should not specify the type. You can use var. That basically says, okay, any type of data is accessible. Any type of data is fine for me. You don't have to like forcefully put number or string or something like that. It's fine. Put character, put number. Like you can change the type of this name variable at any point of time in the program. In other languages, you cannot change the type, right? But in this, you can change it. Okay. Okay, so that's why I'm saying that JavaScript is not a strictly typed language. It's loosely typed, that you can change type anytime. Like in the next line, if I go and write name equals to 23, it's totally fine, right? It's totally fine. So for the first line, name was a character. For the next line, now name has become a number. In the next line, the name can become a string. So I'm using the same variable again and again, but I'm changing the type in each and every line, right? And don't worry, I'll also explain you what is the difference between let and var once we come to a proper topic where I can show you the difference. Because I just don't want to tell you theoretically. I also want to explain you what, I also want to show you exactly what is the difference between let and var. Right? So when we'll get to a topic that I'll explain you what is the difference and why to use let. For first 2-3 lectures, we're going to use var. For after that, we're going to use let. Once we know the difference, we're going to use let after that. Kotresh, that is something that JavaScript does, right? So basically, memory is registered. Only the type of the memory is changing dynamically, right? So memory is fixed, memory is registered, block is there, only the type is changing, and that's fine. That is something that JavaScript is doing, so that is fine. Okay? Are we clear with this? Everyone? Yes. See, first of all, when you create a variable, memory is allocated. Only the type of the variable in JavaScript case is undecided. It depends on the data. That's all. That is the only process that differs JavaScript from other languages, right? So when you pass the data, when you actually initialize the value, at that time the type is decided. What kind of type should be there for the memory, right? So as I'm saying, the type is variant, that it can change at any point of time, right? So that's what it is. Are we cleared? Okay, then let's create a variable where, let's say, num. Now see, when you do something like this, when you only create the variable, that time it means you're declaring a variable. This is declaration of variable. You have just declared it. There is no value for it, right? And when you create a variable and also pass a value for it, this is known as initialization of a variable. That basically means you have passed the value while creating the variable. You have given the value for the variable while creating it, right? So this is known as initialization. Okay, and when you only create the variable, and let's say you have decided to pass the value afterwards, at some point in time in the program, then in that case this line is known as declaration of the variable, right? And this is how you initialize it. That's all. But when you do something like this, like var num declaration, and you go, this is just like, this is not initialization actually. You can call it initialization, but this is not considered initialization. This is considered passing the value afterwards. Now it's same. Num is having 23, but it's just you didn't do it in the first line. You didn't do while creating it. That's why it is not considered initialization. It is just like passing the value, right? So declaration, initialization. That's all. Okay, are we cleared? Don't worry, Riazuddin. I'll also explain you what is const. Don't worry at all. Okay. Okay, sir. If we declare a variable that time, it will store a memory block or not? Now remember, whenever you declare a variable, at that time memory is not stored. A memory block is only registered for a variable when it has some value. So till the time a variable is not having a value, no block will be registered for it, right? So that is what it is. Okay, a memory block is registered for a value only when it has some value. Like a memory block is registered for a variable only when it has some value. Okay, it updates, right, Abhishek? It updates the type. Just like in the same block it changes the value, it updates the value. Same case, it updates the type, right? So that's what it is. Okay, so let's start using them now. So now we have a variable num and it has a value 23. Now let's try to print this. So let's move our console.log up towards the variable and let's see how to print a variable. So now instead of printing this data, what I'm going to do is I'm going to print my variable. So my variable name is, or the identifier for the variable is num. So you can just write console.log num. Now remember, never ever put your variables in double quotes, right? If I put num in double quotes, now this num is not identified. This num is just a string for JavaScript. It's just a string. It will just print num, right? So to use num as a proper variable, remember, never put your variables in double quotes. Never put your variables in double quotes. That's all. So that's it. Now let's see. Okay, refresh, and here you go. You can see 23. Okay, are we cleared with this, everyone? Are we cleared? Now let's say we create one more variable, like, okay, where num2 equals 56. Okay, so now if I want to like print both, I can either do this, like I can do two console.logs, something like this, num and num2. So now I'll be printing both like this, 23 and 56. Okay, now let's say we can also have a string where name equals um let's upgrade, something like this. So now we have defined a string, and we can also do console.log name, save it, go on and refresh it, and here you go, 23, 56, and let's upgrade. Are we clear with this? Okay, if I want to use a single console.log to print everything, I can do something like this also, console.log num comma num2 comma name. You can also do something like this. You can separate your variables with comma, different variables with comma, and it will still work. See, so now it has printed everything in a single line. That's it. That's it. And now it is in single quote just to specify that, okay, the three data are different. When it was in different lines, in that case, you are understanding it easily that okay, the last line is string. But in this case, everything is a single line. That's why the console has like allocated some double quotes for the let's upgrade, just so that you can easily understand that that is a string data, right? So that's all. Okay, so this is something that you can do again. Now,
Excuse me, sir.
yes, yes.
Shall we have a quiz?
um have we completed that much? Okay, then yes, we can have a quiz. Okay, guys, so we have completed the topics of variable. At least like now you know how to create a variable, and like I'll just put it back. Okay, now you at least know how to create a variable and how to print it, right? So now we have planned a simple quiz for you, a 2 to 3 minutes quiz for you. So now you're gonna have a quiz. You just have to go to that link and attend the quiz. It's very short quiz, right? So I'll just open this window for you. Yes, Varni, I think we can give the quiz to them now.
Yeah, sir. 1 minute. Guys, quiz link is in the chat. Go and check it out.
Okay, it's a very short quiz, guys. Just go and attend it and come back fast. Link is not working. Varni, they are saying link is not working. Bhavna is saying
It is working, sir. I checked
it
it.
is saying wrong pin. People are saying it is saying wrong pin.
Hello, sir. Sorry to interrupt, guys. The link of the quiz is pinned in the chat. You can visit from there, and the game pin is also mentioned over there. Thank you.
Okay, people have started playing actually. Okay, for some people it is working and for some people it is not. It's fine, guys. It's totally fine. You can try it once again. Not a problem at all. Don't panic if it is not working. Yes, yes, please ask your question. I can't read your name. Maybe it's in some other language. Uh, the guy or the girl with the orange logo. Maybe it's with some Chinese or Korean on it. You can ask. Not a problem, everyone. Not a problem. If you're unable to open it, it's totally fine. Don't panic. Yes, Abhishek. After 2010, yes, we can use JavaScript for backend as well. And maybe in future courses, yes, we are going to do that as well. That is great. People who have completed, that is great. That is totally fine. Congrats, Rajkumar. Okay, you're at the first place. Yes, Astha, because like that is the intention of console.log. That's why like that is the thing for what console.log is made for. Console.log is made to print in the console. To do in the browser, don't worry. I'll also like show you how to do that. That is the future thing that we have to do, right? So don't worry. It's just you have to know both. You should also know how to use the console, and you should also know how to do the browser window. But right, the browser window is more important thing here, because that is the place where where our users, when we create a website, where our users gonna see the output, right? So don't worry, we're gonna learn how to perform operations on both, on the console as well on the browser page. Don't worry, Asta. And as I said, semicolon is not mandatory, so don't worry. Missing semicolon is not an error in JavaScript. It made you wrong. Okay, let me check the quiz again. Don't worry, guys. Don't Not a problem at all. Let me check. Yes, semicolon is not an error. Not an error. Let me check. Let me check. Let me check. Not a problem. I'll check the quiz. Don't worry.
Sir, most of
Yes.
them they completed. It seems. Can we move on now?
Yes. Now we can start. Okay, guys. Let's start it now. Okay. Okay. Let me close this. Okay. Now let's get back. Okay, guys. Please, everyone, come back. Let's start. And that's fine if it was wrong. It's not a problem at all. It's totally fine. It was your first quiz. Okay, so that is fine. That is totally fine. Don't think a lot about it. Just enjoy it. It's for your enjoyment. So just try to enjoy the quiz. That's all. It's just some kind of what do you say, a break for you. So just enjoy it. Don't worry if it is wrong or if it is right. Don't worry at all. Okay. Okay, then let's start now. And yes, people asking, yes, division by zero is not an error in JavaScript. Yes. Okay. Okay, then let's move ahead. So now we know how to create a variable, right? So now we know how to create a variable and how to print it on the console. Now let's move ahead and try to do some operations on variable. Actually, let's try to do some operations on variable. So now you can perform various operations and various calculations on variable. So let's start with the basic ones, and after that let's move to the more complex ones, right? So let's start then. So the first operation that I want to show you is the addition operation. Actually, see, in any language, whenever you want to perform some kind of operation on your data or some kind of operation on your variable, you have some set of predefined operators for it, right? You have some set of predefined operators for it. Like, okay, I'll just like to mention it before we move ahead. So in each and every language, to perform operation on your data or on variables, you have some set of predefined operators for it. And in JavaScript also, you have a lot of operators, right? and depending on their needs, depending on how the operator work, they are divided in a lot of categories. So the first category of operators, just like any other language in JavaScript, is okay. This VS Code hinting is very bad. Arithmetic operators. Now I'll just mention it for you. Okay. So the first category is arithmetic operator, where you have this plus, then minus, then divide, then modulus, right? Something like this, then multiply. So these are few arithmetic operators that you have. Okay. Okay, guys, stop buzzing about the quiz. Don't worry. Don't worry at all. If it is wrong, it's totally fine. Don't worry. Even if you got zero, or even if you're first, it's totally fine. Okay. Okay, fine. So exactly what, as I'm saying, the first kind of operator, the first type of operators that you have in JavaScript is arithmetic operator, like plus, minus, divide, modulus, and multiplication, which are basically used to perform some kind of calculations and arithmetic operations like addition, division, subtraction, multiplication. Now this is I think it's a very easy topic, so let's just try to complete it fast so that we can move on to the complex topics and the topics that are very, very important for us, right? Okay, then let's try to understand the arithmetic operators. Let's see the operations actually. So what we're going to do is we're going to create one more variable named result, right? Very basic thing. So we're going to create one more variable named result. And what we will do is, okay, this VS Code hinting. After zooming, actually, it's very big. That's why it is hiding everything. That's fine. So what we can do is we can just go on and write num plus num2, something like this, right? And then what I can do is I can just go on and write console.log result. Now this is very, very basic thing, guys. So please, let's try to finish it quickly. Okay. So we have a result variable in which I'm storing the operation num plus num2, that is 23 plus 56, and I'm printing the result. So I should get the result, right? I think 79 is the answer. Let's see. Let's go on the browser and refresh the page. And here you go. You have the answer for addition, right? Pretty simple. Okay. Now let's try to like use each and every operation. Let's try to use minus. So now it's 23 minus 56. Let's see the result. Here you go. You have minus 33, right? Then you can also move on and try multiplication. Let's see. You have 1288. Same. You can also go for divide, that is slash. You have 0.410 and a lot of numbers. So it's just the actual division result. So that's all. And now finally, you have modulus. So again, it performs the same operation, that is divide operation, but instead of giving you the quotient that is considered as the answer for division, it gives you the remainder. So remember, slash and modulus both do the divide operation. Slash gives you the quotient that is usually considered the answer for division. Modulus gives you the remainder. Just to show you, let's make the number small so that you can easily understand it. So let's make it what do you say, 5, and let's make it 2, right? And let's see it now. Here you go. You have 1. So 1 is the remainder, right? When you divide 5 by 2, you should get 1, and that's what we are getting, right? So modulus and slash are for the same things. Modulus also divide, slash also divide. Slash gives you the quotient and modulus gives you the remainder. That's all. Okay. Okay, then now let's move on to the next set of operators. But actually, the whatever is the next set of operators, we're going to use it after, like, sometimes when we start learning conditional things. But okay, let's try to understand what are the operators, what are the next operators actually. Now the next category that you have for the operators is assignment operators, and you have already seen one of it. The first one is equal to, that is basically used to assign values. You can see, you have used it here. You're assigning 2 to num2, you're assigning 5 to num. So this is one of the operators, equal to, right? Here also I'm assigning the value of num modulo num2 to result. So first is equal to. Can also do arithmetic operations in console of a browser. Yes, why not? You can do that. Yes, Sai Pramod, yes, you can do that directly in console. That's what I said, right? You can also write JavaScript code in console. That's totally fine. Okay. Now, what are other assignment operators that you have? You also have plus equal to, minus equal to, divide equal to, modulus equal to, and what you say, multiplied equal to. So you also have this operations. Now, maybe some of you people might know all these assignment operators. Some of you only know this equal to. So I'll also explain you what these operators do. Let's try to understand, right? So let's say I create a variable. Okay, we have two variables. Now what you can do is you can just write num2 plus equal to num. I have wrote num2 plus equal to num, and I'm printing num2. So basically, if I want to explain this operator, it is actually working like this. The expansion for this is num2 equals num2 plus num. It is actually working like this. Num2 equals num2 plus num. So if you add it, num2 is 2 and num is 5. So num2 plus num is 7. And I'm again storing it into num2. So basically now the new value for num2 will be 7. That is what it is. That's all. So plus equal to basically means this. So basically if I write a plus equal to b or a minus equal to b, that basically expands to, see, this is the problem of VS Code. When I zoom it, it gives me a lot of hints and I can't cancel it directly. So if I write a minus equal to b, consider it a equals to a minus b. This is what is happening. A equals to a minus b. So this is the expansion, right? So this is how it works. So now I should get 7 in num2. Let's comment this out because I don't want to run this. Okay, this is the only thing I want to run here. And let's move it. Let's see. Refresh. And here you go. Now you get 7 in num2, right? So that is how it works, right? So now you know plus equal to is basically the expansion of like I can only tell it with variable. If I have a plus equal to b, that means a equals a plus b. If I have a multiply equal to b, that means a equal to a multiplied by b. That is what it is. Okay, so are we cleared, guys? Are we clear with this? So these were the assignment operators. Mostly you're going to be using this equal to, plus equal to, and minus equal to. Using these things will be very rare, but yeah, sometimes you may need it. That's why you should know it, right? You have to only download VS Code, Odikogba. You just have to download VS Code. That's all. Other and for running, your browser will work for you. Don't worry. Okay. Now let's move on to the next operator. That is comparison operator. Now in this case, now these are the operators that are not going to be used in calculations, but these are something that are going to be used for comparisons, checking. So we're not going to see the actual use of them right now, but yeah, we're going to see the uses of them. So don't worry. So you have this less than, greater than, less than, equal to, greater than, equal to. These are the comparison operators. You have not equal to, and then you have equal to, equal to. So these are the comparison operators that you have in JavaScript. Okay. So less than, greater than, less than equal to, greater than equal to, not equal to, the symbol, the explanation symbol is not. And then you have equal to, equal to. Now, I'll actually show you how it works. Okay, so I have commented everything. Now let's say we have, okay, we have two variables. Now see, the output of comparison operators is always either true or false. The output of comparison operators is always either true or false. As I said, comparisons operators are not performing any calculation. They are only doing what you call comparison. And based on comparison, it will only give you if the comparison is perfect or if the comparison is wrong. Based on that, either they will give you true or they will give you false. That is all. So let's say if I write num is less than num2. So I'm using the less than operator in this case. So I'm writing num is less than num2. So if I see num is 5 and num2 is 2, and I'm saying 5 is less than true. In this case, 5 is not less than 2. So this statement is actually false. So in this case, this comparison operator will give you or return false, right? So because the comparison is wrong, the condition here or the comparison here is wrong. That's why it will give you false. Let's save it and see now. Here you go. We have false, right? If I go on and let's say I make num2 10, in this case now, this comparison should give us true. So remember, comparison operator will always give you either true or false. That's all. Let's see now. Refresh. See, you have true. Okay. Now, and yes, we are only covering the basic concepts today because I just want to complete the basic programming fundamentals so that from tomorrow I can start with the actual stuff for that is going to be used for creating the projects, right? So don't worry. We still have to complete it because this is very important, because a lot of people from you might not know the basics also, right? A lot of people from you may know, a lot of people from you may not know. That's why I'm just trying to complete this thing, right? Okay, let's try this equal to equal to. Now, if you know, that's fine. If you don't know what is equal to is basically the equality comparison, that if num and num2 are equal or not. Now, why we are using two equal to's? Because single equal to is already used for some other operation. So single equal to has already some other use. That's why programmers decided to come up with double equal to, right? That's why programmer decided to come up with double equal to for equality comparison. So that's fine. Equal to is nothing but equality comparison, whether both things are same or not. Now in this case, I have 5 and 10. So I'm definitely sure they're not same. If I say 5 and 5, now they're definitely same. So I should get true, right? Let's see. Here you go. Okay. Now, same in the same case, you have not equal to. So is num not equal to num2? No, it is equal. So this should give false because I'm saying num is not equal to num2. But as I can see in my data, both are same. So I should get false. Let's see. Here you go. I'm getting false. Okay. That is cool. Now, there is one more set of operators in JavaScript that is available only in JavaScript. That is available only in JavaScript. That is identity operator, in which you have triple equal to and not double equal to. These are the two operators that you have, and these are only available in JavaScript, right? You have triple equal to and not double equal to. But now, what is the use of this identity operator? Now, I'll actually tell you. Now, see, let's try to do an equality operation here. And now, let's convert num2, instead of 5, let's convert it into a character 5. Now see, num is also 5, num2 is also 5, but num is a number 5 and num2 is just a character 5, right? This character 5 is not valid. It cannot be used for any kind of calculation because it just looks like 5. It's not a number 5. It cannot be used for any calculation. It just looks like 5. But still you will see that the double equal to operator is giving me true. It is saying that this 5 and this 5 are same. That basically means the double equal to operator only checks whether they are look alike or not. It only checks whether they are look alike or not. It does not check whether the type is same or not, whether both are integers or both are numbers or not. It only checks whether they are look alikes. So for double equal to 5 and character 5 are same. It just checks how they look, right? When you go in C, double equal to also checks for types, but in JavaScript, double equal to does not check for types, because again I'm saying JavaScript does not have a type, right? It is a loosely typed language. Now it has a types, but still JavaScript is a loosely typed language, and when it was made, it was not having any types. When JavaScript was initially made, it was not having any types. That's when double equal to was only checking lookalikes, right? But if you go in C and C++, in that case, double equal to works for types as well as lookalikes. But in this case, if you want to check both, whether they are lookalike and also their type is same or not, instead of double equal to, go for triple equal to. Triple equal to in that case is the best option. And now it will give us false because it will find that, okay, both are only lookalike, but the type is different. Now let's try to catch up the type as well. Okay, now they are also lookalikes and they have the same type. They both are numbers, and now triple equal to should work fine. And fine. So you have to understand that whenever you want to check perfectly type as well as lookalike, then you always go for triple equal to and not double equal to. When you only want to check if this is fine or not, like you want to compare strings or characters, in that case go for double equal to, it's totally fine, right? But when you also want to check for types, go for triple equal to, and same for not double equal to, right? It also checks for types. That's all. Okay, now let's move on to the next set of operators, in this case that is logical operators. And that's pretty much easy, it's actually very easy to understand. Then in this case you have and, or it is just written and it is actually and. That's all, you just have to say single and. So it is single and this is or. So when you write double and, that is and, or you can also say ampersand. This single is known as ampersand. So this whole thing is an and operator, and this is an or operator. Pipeline operator is known as an or operator, and this is a not operator, right? This is a not operator. We have learned it previously actually here, not equal to, not double equal to. Now, why do we use logical operation? Like now I cannot show you the actual working of it, but yes, when we learn conditional statements, in that case I'll definitely show you how to use and or. For now I'm not showing you how to use them, don't worry. Like I will show you now, it will work fine. I'll show you the output like true and false, but you'll not understand the exact use of it. That's why I'll explain you and or when we are actually at that place where they can be actually used, where there is a need of using these logical operators, so that you can properly understand what is the use of it, right? So right for now I'm skipping the logical operators part, right? Maybe tomorrow we'll learn that when we are at conditional statements. But I hope you understand it now. I hope you understand pretty much all of the operators, right? Arithmetic, assignment, comparison, identity, and logical. Logical will be explained to you tomorrow, don't worry. Again, just like you have double equal to and not equal to, Aditi, just like you have double equal to for equality check and not equal to for not equality check, same, triple equal to is for equality check and not double equal to is again for not equality check. The only thing is identity operators also check for types. We know that double equal to only checks for lookalikes. Identity operator also checks for types. So if I say not double equal to, that means it will check whether they both are different. Okay, I think yes, you have a point. Not double equal to, it's actually fine, right? It will check for type, but it will also check for lookalike, and it will only give you false if they are not lookalike, right? So that's the only thing here, I think. That's the only thing here. Like something like this. Let's say you have this 7. I think it will not matter, but yes, let's check it out actually. Console.log num not equal to num2. So fine, it's just internally it will also check for type. So first it will check that num and num2 has same type or not. So let's see that. Okay, I actually explained you, but still I'll show you. See, it will give us true because they are not equal, right? They are not equal. That's all. It is also checking for types. That's the only thing I'm saying here. It is also checking for types. That is all in this case. So I think in this case, if you use double not equal to or not double equal to, it's totally fine for this case. But for equality, it is very important to use identity operator. For not equality, I think you can also go for not equal to. That's fine. But for equality, you should always go for triple equal to. That is important. Okay. Actually, by comparison, this and this are same. It's just they check for types. That's the only difference here. They check for types. Okay. Are we cleared, everyone? Okay. Are we cleared? Yes, it will give you same result. That's why I said for not equal to, you can either go for not equal to or not double equal to. In that case, it's totally fine. But for equal to, always go for the identity operator. All
Excuse
the
me, sir.
JavaScript. Yes. Tell me.
Yeah, can we go with the second quiz, sir?
Yes, sure.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Is the second quiz about operators, Varni, or is it
Uh,
about conditional statements?
it's just conditional statements, sir.
So I think we should not go for that right now because we haven't still like reached the conditional statements. So I think we can do it at the last. Will that be fine, Varni?
Okay. Yeah, okay, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, Tushar, I'll explain bitwise operators. Don't worry. When the time is correct, I'll explain whatever is needed. So don't worry at all. Right? People, please don't worry at all. I have all things in my mind. When the time is correct, I'll definitely tell you when to use it. Like there are few things that you can only understand when there is a certain example for it. That's why I'm waiting for the logical operators, right? I didn't explain it right now because there is no need for it right now. When there is an actual need, you'll understand the logical operators concept, right? So that's what I'm saying here, right? There are few things that I'm not explaining right now because I just don't want to complete it for completion. I want to show you the actual use for it. That's why we'll just wait for the correct time where you can actually understand what is the use and what is the need, right? These were the simple operators. That's why I covered it very fast because these were very simple. You don't need an example for it. But for these kind of operators, for bitwise operators, you need a proper example, right? Okay. Now let's move on. So now we know all of these operators. We know how to use arithmetic. That is totally fine. We know how to add, subtract, and everything. Now the next topic that we are moving on to here is, like, maybe that will be the last topic for today, and then after that you can complete the quiz at the end, is conditional statements. This is the last topic for today, and at the end I'll also show you how to uh, what do you say, show that pop-up boxes, right? That alert and everything at the end if we get time. Don't worry, like I'll at least show you some kind of, what do you say, interesting JavaScript after the programming session ends, right? So let's see. Okay, fine, let's move ahead now. So now we are moving on to the conditional statements. Now first of all, let's try to understand what are conditional statements, right? So now there are cases, or there can be cases where, let's say, you write a lot of code, right? This is like code 1, code 2, code 3. Like these are a lot of lines of code. You have a lot of lines of code. But now, as I said, that what happens is whatever code you write, it gets executed directly. Now let's say you have some code, but you want to execute it based on some condition, based on if something happens or not, based on if something is correct or not. So now there might be cases, or there can be cases where you want to execute some kind of code or some lines of code based on some condition, based on if something has happened, then only execute this code. Otherwise, don't execute, skip this 4 lines or skip this 5 lines. Like something like this. You have this 4 lines. Let's say you also have this 4 lines. You also have this 4 lines. So you have this 12 lines of code in this case, right? You have this 12 lines of code in this case, right? I'm basically not able to fit everything in this screen. That's fine. I think you can see it now. So let's say you have these much lines of code. Now I want to execute this, and I want to execute this last one as it is. But I want to execute this middle 4 lines of code based on some condition, only if something happens properly. Like based on any condition. Let's say the condition is if A becomes 2, or if A becomes 5, or name becomes Saurabh. Any condition, right? Any condition. Or if num1 and num2 only become 24, or if num1 minus num2 becomes 23, then only execute this code. So these are some lame conditions, but just think of it. Let's say you want to execute some code based on some condition. In that case, you use something called as conditional statements. And this is one of the most important topics of programming, of basic programming. You're going to use it everywhere in future. Everywhere, maybe in each and every program you write in your life, you're going to use conditional statements. You'll understand the importance of it when you actually start coding. So don't worry. So I hope you understood the concept. When you want to execute some code based on some kind of condition, now you'll understand what exactly a condition is. Don't worry. So now the conditional statements that are available in JavaScript programming are, that you're going to use, are if. Actually, if is fine, but I'll just write if for now. So let's say we're only learning the if one first. So if is one of the most important statements in programming. If, it basically helps you to write conditions. It basically helps you to execute code based on conditions. If is the conditional statement. If is a conditional statement. It helps you to execute code based on some condition. Now, I'll actually show you how it works. Now, let's say you have this console.log JavaScript is amazing, something like this. So now let's say this is a very important code, very hi-fi code. This console.log JavaScript is amazing, and I only want to execute this if the value of num is 10. How will I write it? I only want to execute this console.log JavaScript is amazing only if the value of num is 10. So I'm going to use if, and I'm going to use my comparison operators, right? Because I want to check if num is 10 or not. Because I'm saying, right, only if num is 10. So how will you check num is 10? We'll use the equal to operator, right? Equality operator to check num is 10. Either this or this triple equal to. So let's use it. But how will you write? We're going to take the help of this if statement. And this is how you write. If, then again, brackets, or you can say parenthesis, num is equal to, and equal to one more 10. And then you have curly braces that defines the block. Now remember, in programming, curly braces are always for block. They define some kind of block for someone. Just like, okay, this block is for this if. So whatever this if will say, this block will do. Something like that. So this block is belongs to this if, right? So what I'll do is I'll put this code inside this if and not directly outside. So now see, if this condition becomes true, see, if now I'm saying if num is equal to 10, then execute this block. If condition becomes true, the block is executed. If condition becomes false, the block is not executed. It is skipped. That is what happens, right? So that's how it works. So now you have this if block, right? So I'm saying, okay, check if num is equal to 10. If it is 10, this block will be executed. If it is not 10, directly from here you'll go outside. So basically we will be skipping this block because the condition became false, right? We know that this gives false or true, right? We know that this comparison operator gives either true or false. We just learned it, right, before the conditional statements, that comparison operators either give you true or they give you false. So if the if block or the if condition gets true, it executes the block. If the if condition gets false, it skips the block. So in this case, let's see, in this case, what my if is going to have. So see, num is actually 5. So in this case, we know that this num equal to 10 is going to give me false. And if this if block receives false, it is going to skip the block. It will just move ahead. It will skip the block. So let's see. Let's see it now. Aditi, wait, please. We're going to use that question mark also, but not everyone knows it, right? So you just have to wait. Don't worry. You just have to wait. Now save it. See, there's nothing in the console because we know that comparison was false, and that's why the if block didn't execute. Because if the condition inside the if blocks gives false, this will be skipped. Now let's say not equal to 10. Now what? Now num is 5, right? So 5 is not equal to 10. Num is 5, right? So 5 is not equal to 10. In this case, it will give us true that 5 is not equal to 10. And now if the condition inside the if statement becomes true, the block is executed. And now let's see if this is getting executed. And here see, you get JavaScript is amazing. So now this code is basically dependent on this condition, this if condition. If the condition is true, the block will be executed. If the condition is false, the block will be not executed. So that's how you do it, right? So there is a lot of needed of this in future where you have to execute some code based on some condition. In that case, this is how it works, right? Now this is only for true. Like it's like, okay, if it becomes true, I'll execute. If it becomes false, I'll basically move ahead. Now see, whatever is outside will definitely be executed. Just to show you, see, this is something that is outside the if block, so this is definitely going to be executed, right? This is definitely going to be executed whether the statement is false or true, because this is the only code that is depending on whether the statement is true or false. This code is outside. It does not matter for it. Like nothing matters for it. It will always execute because it is outside, right? There's no condition for this. So it will like, okay, I am always there, something like this. This will always be there. See, in this case, we'll get both of them. Let's make the condition false. Save it. And now I'll see. I'll only get I'm always there, because the first statement in that case is wrong. Is actually getting false, right? Okay. Are we clear with everything, guys? Okay. Now let's actually what you say, expand the statement. Let's go to the next level of conditional statements. Now we only have something for true. So it's like, if this statement is true, I'm going to execute this, otherwise I'll just go out. What if I want to do something like this? If statement is true, I want to execute something. If statement is false, I want to execute something else. In that case, see what I called else. So exactly same like English, you also have a else block. And then we can go ahead. Now remember, else does not have a condition. You don't write condition in else. Else is just empty. Else will only be executed if the if block gives false. So let's write JavaScript is awesome. So now it's like this. Now remember, you're never going to write anything between if block and else block. Never write anything between if block and else block. That is not how it works. This is the syntax. Where the if block ends, if you're writing else, else should start from right there where your if block ends. Please remember this. Naga, I think you're coming late. Difference between double equal to and triple equal to is double equal to only checks for lookalikes, and triple equal to checks for lookalikes as well as it checks for types. So that is the difference. Okay. Are we cleared, everyone? Are we cleared? Don't worry, guys. I'll tell you at the end. Hassan, I'll tell you at the end what is in the advanced course. Don't worry. I'll tell you. Actually, we will tell you. So don't worry about it. So are we cleared with this now? Please focus on this now. We'll solve all your doubts. We'll solve all your questions. Okay, people are there to solve all your questions. Don't worry, just focus on the topics right now. Okay, guys, is everyone cleared? So in this case, remember, never write else anywhere. Else should be only there with the if. Where the if block ends, else should start, right? So now in this case, if this becomes true, this block will be executed. If the condition becomes false, this else block will be executed, and that's all. Now we know, right, this condition is going to be false because num is 5. Let's see, we should get JavaScript is awesome. Let's see. And here you go. We're getting JavaScript was awesome because the condition is false. Let's make the condition true. Let's add not equal to. Save it. And now I think we should get JavaScript is amazing. So now we also have something for wrong condition. So now again, it depends on the need. You're not always going to write if and else. It always depends on the need, right? If you want to check only for true, you're going to only write if block. If you want to check for true and false, you're going to write if and else both, right? So are we clear with this, guys? Are we cleared? Yes, Anu, we have solution for that also. If we have multiple conditions, right? I'll also tell you. Now let's see. What if I have multiple conditions, like something like this? If num is 10, I want to perform something else. If num is 20, I want to perform something else. If num is 30, I want to perform something else. What can we do in that case? Now, let's see. Let's try to understand. So if num is 10, I want to do this. Now, if you want to add one more condition in the same if statement, in the same if block, you can go on and before else, you can write else if. So it's basically one more condition, right? If not this condition, then else if this one, something like this. Okay, num is equal to 20. And then the new block. So now it's something like this. You have else if for writing multiple conditions. And then you can have this. Let's just write, okay, great. So now what will happen in this case? If num is 10, JavaScript is amazing. If num is 20, JavaScript is great. If num is not 10 or 20, it will go to else. So if this condition is correct, this block will be executed and then will go out. If this condition is wrong, it will move to next condition. Now, if this condition is correct, this will be executed. Now, if this condition also becomes wrong, it will directly go to else blocks. That's how it works. Are we clear? So this is how you can write multiple conditions. Now you can have as many else ifs as possible. Like depends on your need. You can have 10 else ifs, 100 else ifs, 2000 else ifs. It totally depends on your code, what you're writing and what you're expecting from your code. That's all. Are we cleared? Are we cleared, everyone? Guys, are we clear with this? Are we cleared with this? Are we cleared, everyone, with this multiple if statement? So this is also known as a multiple if statement. You can, a lot of people say this is an else if statement, but you can always say this is a multiple if statement, because multiple ifs means multiple conditions. That's how it works. Yes, yes, partially you can do it, because double equal to will give a different result for if the type is different, right? So yes, you can do that. Yes, you can do that. Whatever you think, if it is correct, you can do that. It's totally fine, right? Okay, now one last thing in conditional statements. Then I'll also tell you what is in the advanced course. Don't worry. Okay. So I'll just comment this out for now. Okay. And now let's say you want to do something like this. If num is less than, what do you say, 5. If num is less than 5, console.log, what do you say? Okay, again, JS is good. Something like this. If num is less than 5, JS is good, right? Now we see our num. Okay, let's move this num down so that we can see everything at one place. So we have moved the num down. Now in this case, num is 5, and I'm saying num is less than 5. In this case, we definitely know that this is false. This is definitely false, right? Or let's take an example of something like this. Let's say this is a grade, or let's say this is, just to get a more good example, let's take it percentage. Let's say this is percentage and this is 60. Okay. Now let's say based on the percentage, I want to display some grade. Just a very lame example. It is like a very school example, right? So what I want to say is, if percentage, right? If percentage is, let's say, greater than 70, I want to say A grade, something like this, right? And same thing, let's say else if percentage, right? If percentage is what you call greater than 50, I want to say console.log B grade, right? And else, I just want to fail it. If it is something other than 50, I want to fail it. Less than 50, I want to fail it, right? So C grade, or you can just say, okay, failed. Now in this case, see, I have my percentage that is 60, right? So I'm saying if percentage is greater than 70, A grade. If percentage is greater than 50, B grade. If percentage is greater than, like, if percentage is less than 50, I'm definitely saying it failed. Now let's check it out if it is working perfectly fine. Guys, please focus now. This is very important. I'll also show you how to take user input. Don't worry, we're going step by step. Guys, please understand this. We are going step by step. You can't have everything at one time, right? So let's just go step by step. I'll definitely teach you everything that is important, right? So if you know some of it, please wait, because not everyone knows everything, right? So let's see. Save it. Okay, now we are getting B grade. That's perfectly fine. Now let's do one thing. Let's make it what you call let's make it 80, something like that. Now we should get A grade, right? Let's see if we're getting A grade. And definitely we're getting A grade. Now let's change the conditions. Let's say this is 50, greater than 50, and this is 70. Now there is a problem in our statement. Now I have, if percentage is greater than 50. Now we have just changed the statements, right? We have done nothing. We have just moved them up and down. Now percentage greater than 50 is at the top, and percentage greater than 70 is at the bottom, and my percentage is 80. Now theoretically I should get A grade, but now let's see the execution of the program. Now in the first statement it will say if percentage is greater than 50, and yes, 80 is greater than 50. and it will just show me B grade. Because the first condition is getting correct, it will never move to the second condition. And that's how I will get B grade even if I have 80. So basically, our program is programmatically incorrect, right? So this is a new problem that has arisen. So it's like I have to always follow the sequence in conditions, right? This should not be there. This should not be the case. If they are conditions, they should be written anywhere. They should work because they are conditions. So the problem here is I have not wrote my conditions properly. That's why changing sequence is giving me a lot of problems, right? Now, how to deal with it? And now this will be solved by this, where it is the logical operator. This will be solved by the logical operator. Now let's see how to use it. Now, by logical operators, you can actually write multiple conditions in a single if statement. Now we can do something like this. If percentage is greater than 50 and percentage is less than equal to 70, then you have to give B grade. Now my code understands that if my percentage is greater than 50 and also at the same time it is less than equal to 70, so only for 51, okay, you know, right, greater than 50 is 51, starts from 51. For 50 it will still not be executed. So greater than 50 is 51. So from 51 till 70, because it is less than or equal to, that means equal to 70, till equal to 70. So if my percentage is greater than 50, that means starts from 51 till 70, then only show B grade. So now in this case, if I say I have 80, it will satisfy this condition. It will satisfy the first condition, but the second condition, it will become false. Because in this case, 80 is not less than equal to 70. And now this is a logical AND operator. And we know, right? We have learned maths. In maths, if I'm using AND, true and false become false. So in this case, this statement is true and this statement is false. So true and false collectively become false because this is AND operator. And this in this case, this whole condition will become false and will move ahead. So that's how logical operator works. They make your programs logically correct. So now let's move ahead. Now the sequence will not matter. So basically, if your conditions are correct, sequence will never matter for you. So now we can just go on and write and percentage is less than equal to 100. We didn't have it anything for 100, right, guys? If I had 120, it will still work. So now it will only work for 100. So if give A grade, so it is greater than 70, right? From 71 it starts. And let's start it from 50 actually. Let's say greater than equal to 50. So from 49, you're going to be fail. And now I think it should work. Now let's see. See, I'm getting A grade now. And now if I go on and write, let's say 60, I should get B grade. And now if I go on and write, let's say what you call 30, 30, 30, I think we should get failed. And here you go. And now let's add one more condition. Else if percentage, else should always be last, right? So percentage is greater than 100. So if it gets greater than 100, just say console.log cheater, something like this, or anything, invalid number or cheater. So that's all. So now I have conditions. So if it is from 50 to 70, B grade. If it is from 71, okay, let's make it from 70 actually. So if it is from 70 to 100, A grade. If it is greater than 100, cheater. And it is less than 50, failed for sure. Now let's try. So I'm waiting failed now. Let's make it 130. I'll just close this so that you can see the whole code at once, right? So let's make it 130 and I should get cheater, right? Let's see. Yes, I'm a cheater now. Okay. So are we cleared, everyone? Are we cleared with this? So that's how conditional statements work. And now a lot of people are asking me about nested ifs. Don't worry, they are just another if statements. That's all. Like it's just another code inside if. So remember, never try to remember anything theoretically. Like we have learned, right? Whenever we will try to learn programming, it's like, okay, you have 5 conditional statements like if, else, multiple if, nested if, switch statement. Don't remember that like this. You just have if and else. Now everything else is just a combination of it. So nested if is nothing. Nested if, like We call it nested if because it is if inside if. It's not a new statement. That is very important. It's just like this: if, then you have condition, then we know whatever code is inside this will be only executed if the condition becomes true. Now, when I say whatever code is inside this, that code can be anything. It can be normal console.log. It can be another if. But doesn't change. Does it change anything? No, right? Because till the time this if is executed, this is nothing. Only if this if becomes true, we'll go inside and execute this code. And eventually we'll know that, okay, fine, this is also an if. So it's just like that. It's just another code. So nested if is not a very great thing that okay you have to learn. It's just very basic thing, right? It's just another code. That's all. So that's what you have to understand, right? That's it.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, like time is up. Can we continue tomorrow?
Yes, now we can continue tomorrow. So I just want to ask the guys, have we understood everything, right? Please let me know, guys. Have we understood everything from that we have learned today about variables, about conditional statements, about operators? Okay, guys, are we cleared, everyone? Because tomorrow we're gonna go for very important topics. Like tomorrow we're gonna complete our programming fundamentals. We're gonna learn loops. We're gonna learn arrays, and I'll also show you what are objects. So we're gonna learn loops, arrays, and objects. Three very important topics in JavaScript, right? So this was the topic for today. Yes, don't worry. I'll also, Chala, I'll also teach you how to take user input. Don't worry at all. I have everything in my mind, so don't worry. We're just going step by step, right? We can't do everything at once. So tomorrow, first of all, I'll show you how to write JS in a separate file. Then I'll also show you how to use loops. Then we'll move on to arrays, and then we'll move on to objects. So tomorrow we have a lot of things to cover, right? Okay, Varni, can we give them the second quiz if it is fine?
Um, we'll give it tomorrow, sir.
Okay, Nikhil. Yes, you're right. Actually, yes. I did it by mistake. I actually ended it. Yes. So we'll okay. We have less than equal to 70 here, guys. So we can't write this. I actually forgot that I did this. That's why I put greater than equal to. Yes, Nikhil. Thank you for pointing it out, buddy. Thank you for pointing it out. And Kriti, how will they get their assignments? Do I have to give it or will be posted on the community?
We'll be posting it on the community itself, on the all details post, like I explained yesterday.
Okay. Okay, guys. The assignment will be posted on the community, and I'll also post this file on the community, right? So you'll get the file. Don't worry. Okay, so you'll get the assignment and you'll get this file both on the community. Just log in and see, you'll get all the files that is needed. So assignment and this file that I've coded today will be available on the community, maybe in the next 1 hour. So don't worry. Okay, so thank you so much for joining in. See you tomorrow, and we're going to learn very important things tomorrow. So don't miss out. Loops, arrays, and objects. Don't miss out. Okay, bye bye.
So before we end the session, I have one announcement to make.
Yes, please,
Guys,
please.
yes, okay. Thank you, sir. Okay, guys, like you must be wondering who am I always popping out out of blue. So
Even
that's
I
me.
wonder that.
Acha. Okay, sir. Yes, so yeah, like that's me, Kriti Thakrar. I'm in program support team at Let's Upgrade. So like I'll be telling you like from tomorrow we will be having our lectures in our own LMS platform. So I'll be telling you guys how you can register and follow the process. Just a minute, I'll be sharing my screen. Yes, guys, yeah, so you can just visit our website, which is letsupgrade.in. And if you scroll down a bit, okay, just a minute. I am so sorry, guys. There is some issue, I guess. Just a minute. Yeah. So, guys, are you able to see my screen? Vani, is my screen visible to them?
Yeah, Kriti,
Mm,
it's visible.
yes, now it's visible.
All right. Thank you. Yeah. So, guys, you can visit our website, which is letsupgrade.in. And then if you scroll down, you will see a card which is JavaScript and modern framework. So you can click on learn. And then after you click on that, if you scroll down again a bit, you can see a enroll now button over here. It's marked in the red color. If you can see it properly, yeah. So you can click on enroll, and you'll get a confirmation screen, confirmation pop out. So you can click on start learning, and you'll redirect to the page, our LMS page, or also you can go to your profile drop down and click on my programs, and you can again come to this same page LMS, and you can click on the card which is visible, like your program name, whatever you have enrolled for. Currently it's JavaScript, so obviously you can click on that, and after that you will be able to see all the days listed over here. So if you click on day 3, or just like anywhere on day 3, obviously, so here you can see the live, like on the like 5 o'clock we are coming live every day. So if you click on the play button, you'll be able to see the live, and also the chat option will be visible. So don't worry about that. For now, it's not visible. So when we'll be coming live tomorrow at 5 o'clock, the chats will be visible, and the attendance link also will be mentioned on the detailed section. So guys, please do not worry about that. And from tomorrow, you won't be able to enroll you won't be able to see it in YouTube. So please do register. Do not forget to register. Yes, Varney, you can take over now.
Yeah, thank you, Kriti. Thank you,
Thank you.
guys. Thank you for attending. See you guys tomorrow. All the very best.
Someone is asking a doubt. Can people outside India register for the courses?
Surely. Always welcome.
Yes, of
Yes, the
course.
guy with the orange logo again. Yes, we can do that. Can you tell your name? If you can see, if you can hear me, so that I can actually refer to you with your name. Please write in English.
श्रेया अभी एंड होगा, हमें अनाउंसमेंट करना था इसीलिए हमने ऐसे चालू कर दिया. आई एम सो सॉरी that we are taking up your time for so long.
Matthew. Yes, Matthew. Yes, we can do it.
Yes. Yeah, guys, please do not forget to fill your attendance. It's added in the description box. And I will also pin it in the chat so you can get it quickly as possible.
Okay. So a lot of people were asking about this advance. What are we having in advance? Can I just take a minute to tell them what are the things that we have in advance?
Sure, sir.
Okay, guys. So like it's this, you will see pretty much like some things from it in the essential session. So I'll just tell you what are there in advance. I'll just give you the hints. So in advance, you'll know all about advanced JavaScript, how to create everything that is done, like pop-ups, sliders, carousels, product management systems, filters, everything that you see on a website, right? How to create maps, how to create graphs and charts that you see on YouTube and everything. So like everything, how to create basic games like in canvas and everything. So we have a lot of things in advanced JavaScript. Like I have planned a lot of things in advanced JavaScript. So those are the things you might have seen, like charts and graphs on a lot of websites, right? Google displays you charts and graphs of things. So we're also going to learn how to create charts and graphs from scratch. So that is something. Then again, you see the animations, like the hand animations, like carousels, product sliders and everything. We're also going to create that. So like it's a lot of thing. I can't tell everything, but yes, it's a lot of things. Product management systems, searches, filters. Just like you go on search on Google, that type ahead search, that is one example. So we're going to create things like that. So yes, we have a lot of things in advanced JavaScript. and after that we have that merge stack course. We're going to learn React and Node.js. So again, that's one thing ahead of the advanced JavaScript. So yes, if you think we have a lot of this, we have a lot actually. You'll get your assignments on the community, Sunny.
Yeah, Siksha, the assignment will be available within 2 hours mostly. So it will be available on the community itself in the all details post, the group, the link which Varni was posting on the chat. You can visit through there and see all the links in our pinned message. All right. Thank you, sir. It was great having you here as usual.
Thank you so
And
much.
yeah, and we'll meet again in our platform LMS tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, take care. Thank you, sir.
Bye guys. See you tomorrow. Thank you,